we're the founders of VetX.
So before we get started, we'd like to ask each and every one of you that either owns a pet or that has owned a pet in the past, what does a pet mean to you? To us, it means friendship. It means fun. It means love. It means loyalty. Now, the picture you see here is a picture of my puppy, Patrick. I adopted him a few months ago from a kill shelter in the Deep South. Like any new pet owner, I was extremely excited to have him. So I took him out playing for hours and hours. And one night, on a Saturday, he just collapsed on the couch and started groaning. I didn't know what was wrong. And it was a weekend, it was after hours, and of course the regular vet's closed. So what option did I have? Well, we had the emergency care clinic. So the emergency care clinic was 30 minutes away. And they wouldn't answer any questions over the phone, so I didn't know what to do. So I drove, they saw him. After 2 minutes, they told me absolutely nothing was wrong. But by the way, here's a bill for $200. And I left with the feeling thinking, there's got to be a better way. Now there is. VetX is a platform that connects pet owners and veterinarians on demand. We're also allowing for cloud-based medical records access. So suppose one day I'd like to take Patrick on a vacation to New York. I have the ease of mind to know anywhere I go, his records are safe with me. We're serving a $100 billion plus equine and small pet care market, and we're happy to say that we're relaunching within 2 weeks. So we initially launched in November, and we had huge market traction. Over 60,000 App Store views in 1 month alone. But we realized that we had some problems with our business model, with our UI, with our UX, so we pulled everything back, and we're happy to say we're ready to get going again. So like I mentioned, there's a big problem with convenience, with reliability, with access, and especially with price. My partner Tan's going to talk about our solution.
So the solution, like we mentioned earlier, is VetX, a mobile and app-based platform that connects pet owners to veterinarians on demand. So how we do this is that we found out that people necessarily don't want to pay for information that they can have access to. So our platform allows for a freemium model that allows a free section and a paid section as well. So if I have a pet-related question, it doesn't have to be medical, it could be behavioral, nutritional, anything really. I could go on and type in the details about my question. When I'm ready to submit, I can choose to post it to our newsfeed, which integrates social elements to include a sticky feature in our app. It allows for the question to be posted for free to the newsfeed and allows for veterinarians on their side to be able to go on and essentially crowd answer these questions. If your question is of a more urgent nature, you can actually request a one-on-one consultation with the veterinarian for just $10, and that can be through video chat, on the phone, or text-based consultation. And like John mentioned earlier, if he wants to go on a trip with Patrick, he can actually go on and upload Patrick's medical records to the app so that he has it wherever he goes, whether it's on vacation or whether he's just visiting a new veterinarian. So now we're going to show you guys how this platform works.
Excellent. Okay, so here's our platform at work. So this is a design that we have on Envision. Right now we're just working on the actual app. And we also have a web-based platform that mirrors this exactly. So what you see on the top left is you can filter by category. So you see behavioral. It's not only health-related questions. It can be behavioral, diet, grooming, health and wellness. The spectrum is quite broad. But assuming that you know what question you want to ask, you can ask it right here, go through our onboarding flow, right? Sign up, and essentially figure out whether you want to ask a question for free on our mini feed, have a one-on-one consultation through chat, or have a video conference. So here's an example of the video conference at play once the actual payment has been processed. As you can see a wonderful photo of myself and our lead designer over here. Likewise, you can look at pending questions and answered questions, your medical records. You can store them, upload them as PDFs, share them with individuals. So let's say you have another veterinarian when you're on vacation that you want to share your records to. And likewise, your profile. So it's an interactive-based platform where, let's say that on the top search bar, if you want to search a question that's already been asked, there's a predictive-based algorithm similar to Google. They'll try to predict the question, and if it hasn't been asked before, you can add a new one. Our price points, just to make that really clear, it's $10 for a consultation, $2.99 a month for medical records access, and a general question on remaining feed is free. So that's all. We're going to open it up for questions. Thank you.
How long is the average consultation?
So we did a lot of testing during the first time before we made our pivot, and we found that the consultations that were coming in were purely medically focused because there was only a paid option. And really, like in the sense of urgency, and at that time with what the veterinarian can do electronically, we found that the consultations lasted anywhere from 3 minutes to 8 minutes.
How about your difference between Vet Online and Pet Coach?
So we actually, there's actually a number of different competitors that try to do something similar, but again, Pet Coach is more of a forum-based, while we are an active social community of veterinarians that are actually getting their name out there, by ranking and rating top answers where users can go on and click like this was helpful, and it'll actually put that veterinarian higher. So it's kind of like a Reddit-based style algorithm, and then
Another key differentiator is our business model, and that's not something that we spoke about in the presentation. But Pet Coach, for example, and there's Cuddly, Vet 24/7, they try to be quote unquote disruptive. I know everybody here thinks disruptive is the best word ever. The problem is that the veterinarians themselves are very apprehensive about the technology because they didn't have ownership over the entire process. They said, well, why are we going to partner with you guys if we're not sure that the physical consultation is going to go to us? So we turned that whole thing on its head and we said we're partnering with key brick and mortar institutions and saying, okay, have your vets help us answer our questions because we're bringing you some of the most qualified leads you can imagine. The people that have a question right then and there. This is location based as well. This is something we didn't mention. So you can have people in Boston asking questions right on the spot, and if you need to go have a physical consultation, they can refer to their own brick and mortar institution. So that keeps our OpEx costs really low. And at the same time, from a quality control perspective, if the question hasn't been answered within, say, 2 minutes, then it goes to our network of relief vets. So that's another key point of differentiation. Yes?
Do you mind talking a little bit about sort of your testing protocol and what may have happened that led to the sort of version that you released first that was slightly different than what customers wanted?
Yeah, so I can address that. So like I just mentioned, our competitors have price points before their consultations. So a lot of the different apps that are out there trying to do this were created by veterinarians that are trying to reach their own clientele, and they put a price point before we can speak to them. So our pivot, before the pivot, the app that we released, we showed that we had a lot of traction to the actual App Store page, but then we saw that people would bounce away. But there was a very low conversion to actual consultations from people just viewing the app or visiting the page. And we found out that this was because after holding focus groups with different types of users and veterinarians, that this was because that if you have to pay $25 to speak to a veterinarian, that when you already know that something's wrong and ultimately you're going to still have to go in and pay for that, then what's the point of paying for it up front? Really, the consultations that were coming in were extremely urgent in nature, which also limited, we had a couple thousand people and, less than 100 consultations. So really people were using it, but, this is something that I can use when I really need it, and it would cycle to the back of their minds, and if they could even recall. So what we did was essentially create this platform where we want people to use the veterinarians on the network to not just ask medically related questions that are urgent, but anything from grooming, nutritional, behavioral, training. Veterinarians are not just trained in the medical field, but they do know about all of these other areas. So that's what kind of led to the pivot is, instead of charging people for information that they're later going to have to go into the clinic, this can be a trusted platform, answers by veterinarians for the pet owners, but on a different level.
Yes?
I'm interested in the user interface, and you've talked about how urgent this is. You have local doctors. What are your thoughts on how to sort of manage time expectations for your customers? The vets may not be just sitting around sort of waiting for something to come in. They may have other customers.
Yeah.
Well, the consumers are very stressed that their little pet is.
Yeah, so we're addressing that in in two ways right now. The first thing is through just the UX flow. So when a question has been posted, then you're able to keep on navigating the app. Let's say it's for a video chat or a one-on-one consultation. But if, let's say you leave the app, for example, when the consultation comes in, you will receive a push notification. But importantly, from the perspective of how long is this going to take, because when you have a question, you need it answered right then and there. So what we've done is we've partnered with these brick and mortar institutions, I'm not going to say names, but some of the most prominent ones in Boston, right? And if their vets can't answer our questions within 2 minutes, let's say they're busy, they're taking another consultation, that's okay. We have our in-house relief staff. There are also vets that are also accredited that will answer the questions on our behalf. Yes?
Will you do consultations without the animal records?
Excuse me?
Will you do consultations without the animal records?
So it's,
How does it work?
yeah, so that it's a limited thing where you can save without the records, and that's one of the key reasons why we included this into our platform. And that also speaks to one of the differentiators that we have versus our competitors, because they don't include this right now. There's a level of care that you can still give, what we call the first level of triage. Ultimately, though, if you want to establish what's called VCPR, or veterinary client-patient relationship, you're going to have to go see the vet physically. So this is just something like a first level of care, where the vet can, see in real time the pet and what the symptoms are, and just provide that first level of care.
All right, thank you very much. VetX.